guys, you're probably wondering where I am right now. This probably doesn't look like an area that you recognize. Well, that is because I totally forgot to make an intro for this 200-day video. So, yeah, just a little sneak peek. I mean, you already probably saw in the thumbnail and can recognize the same area. But how did we get here? Well, let's take a look at the last 100 days of my Minecraft playthrough. Days 1 through 5 were spent flying around, looking for different biomes and marking coordinates. I stopped at so many sunken ships and villages, it's kind of ridiculous. I ended up getting the coordinates for a mesa, a desert, a savanna, and a marsh. I did also find a treasure map, which was both a blessing and a curse. I'm not very good at finding the treasure, but it actually went faster than I thought it would. Usually these take me like way longer. I made my way back home and dropped off all of my findings from my long trip and then did a little bit of fishing. Days 6 through 9 were spent doing more exploring and finding a pale oak forest and a cherry blossom forest. I gathered materials from both and then headed home to drop off my stuff again. Days 9 and 10 were spent just killing off a bunch of iron golems that spawned around my base and also collecting some stone since I was really low on that for some reason. Days 11 to 17 were spent doing one of the most annoying things you do in Minecraft, building an iron farm. This process was utter torture and I would not recommend it. Moving the villagers is one of the most irritating tasks in Minecraft, and for some reason I chose to make it extra hard on myself and make a tunnel instead of just using rails and minecarts. I don't know why I did it this way and I hate myself for it. Nobody talk about it. Eventually I did get set up. Well, one corner at least. So it was functional. I'd have to add villagers to the other 3 corners later. I'm sure this won't come back to haunt me ever. I confirmed on day 118 that the farm did in fact work, and then left to mine down some ores I had sitting around. I fixed up some tools to have better enchants, and then headed over to the spot I'd chosen for my future base. I placed netherrack around it to help myself know where to tear down trees and such. On day 119, I went to the nether to try and get wither skeleton skulls, but this ended up being a huge waste of time because the nether I had was in the worst place for wither skeleton spawns. Like, it couldn't be worse than this. After that flop, I decided to just work on preparing the future base area, and on day 121 I got to work chopping down trees. I think most Minecraft players will tell you that the process of tearing down a forest is honestly really satisfying. I just turned on some music and mindlessly chopped them down. I also mined mountains and filled in holes, trying to adjust everything to look how I wanted it to, based off the very rough plan I had in my head. This process ended up taking a good chunk of days, which didn't exactly make for the best content, a shock to none, but it needed to be done regardless. And if you saw the thumbnail, you've probably already figured out that we aren't actually doing any building during this 100 days either. I know I said I'd be building for the 200-day video, but I ended up getting overwhelmed at the idea of starting and decided to delay the building aspect for the 300-day video. This 200 days is all about prep as well. It wasn't until day 138 that I finally took a break to go back to the nether. I was trying to find a bastion to get the netherite upgrade, but while I was searching, I ended up finding the perfect nether fortress for hunting wither skeletons. I had the ideal biome for the spawn rate, so I made sure to mark the coordinates before carrying on. Finally found a bastion on day 139, but I realized after a little while that this bastion wasn't the right kind of bastion that I had wanted. This was a big shock to me because I'd never seen a bastion without the netherite upgrade, and I realized it's because I've always run to the correct kind of bastion, the one that has the treasure room. In reality, there's 4 different kinds of bastions you can run into. I was shocked when I learned about this. I guess you'll learn something new every day. Seriously though, how long has this been a thing? Have bastions always operated like this? How did I never know about this until now? Eventually on day 141, I found the kind of bastion I needed, and after fiddling around for much longer than I'd cared to admit, I snagged the netherite upgrade and decided to just put all of my things in the ender chest so I could die to an enderman and get home faster. I'd flown out thousands of blocks in the nether, and the idea of trying to make that journey back made me sick. On day 141, I made all of the netherite upgrades I would need, which took basically all of my diamonds. It sucks how expensive it was, but I'm glad I had enough diamonds to get it done in one go. I then flew out to the swamps to kill slimes for slime balls since I was planning to make a new farm that required sticky pistons. But I'd quickly get sidetracked when I returned home and instead go into the end to make an enderman farm. I wanted to have an easy XP for my enchanting, plus ender pearls are always nice to have when you don't want to use rockets. This farm, all things considered, was pretty straightforward to make. I didn't really run into any problems. This is one of the few farms I'd actually made multiple times before, so I felt confident while making it that it was going to work. But I am annoyed that somehow I lost the rest of the footage of me building it. I don't really know what happened, but just know it's built and it works. I'm sure we'll see it at some point. On day 146, I got to work building a moss farm. See, I'd planned to use moss for the roofing of my future house and also for a bunch of other things in my future base, so I figured it best to get this farm out of the way. It wasn't too complicated, mostly just following the tutorial online to the letter. It took a while in the sense that I had to pause to look at the video constantly, but all in all, I didn't run into any problems with the farm. Once it was built, it worked beautifully. On day 149, I brewed up a bunch of potions and made a bunch of beds to head to the nether to get the rest of the ancient debris I needed. This was a long, boring process, but thankfully I had enough supplies to get the debris. I know using TNT would have probably been much more efficient, but I didn't feel like waiting for the gunpowder. I made it back home on day 153 and left the debris to smelt before going back to the nether to farm wither skeletons. This actually went much faster than I anticipated, and I collected up 3 wither skeleton skulls like easy. Day 155, I went to the end to kill the wither. I've fought the wither like a dozen times in my Minecraft career, so I had no problem cheesing it this time. Besides, I wanted to get some of the roses. I then spent far too long at my iron farm AFKing, only to realize the stupid thing was broken. I was so confused and peeved because it had been working before. The thing is, when you're like me and you don't really get how farms work and you just follow a tutorial, when the thing breaks, that's about the worst thing that can happen because you have no clue why it's broken or how to fix it. I thought maybe the farm was just too slow because of the lack of villagers, so I decided to finally finish building the farm by getting the other corners full of villager. To finish the iron farm, I ended up making a villager breeder, which also didn't work for a while because I was stupid and put glass over the whole thing so there wasn't enough space between the glass and the beds. Oh my god. This also wasn't the only mistake I made when making this thing, and it took me a good 2 hours to get it working. After bringing villagers over to the iron farm by boat multiple times, I finally gave in and made a railway to make it easier, which made me realize how much time I wasted doing it the other way. I hate this game. I can't even explain to you the frustration that followed when working on the iron farm itself. I got all of the corners filled with villagers and zombies, and the stupid thing still didn't work. Any Minecraft farm experts can probably already guess why the farm was refusing to work, but for those who, much like me, know nothing about iron farms or how they operate, let me explain. The way the iron golems spawn is when villagers get scared by zombies. To do this, they have to make eye contact with the zombie in question. The way the farm is set up is that the zombie is in a boat and the villagers are pretty much stuck in front of it in a small space, forced to look at it and get scared constantly. This causes iron golems to spawn within a certain block distance. The problem with my farm is that my villagers weren't connected to their beds properly, and this meant that they were stuck in freak-out mode from the zombie without any sort of break. This makes it impossible for them to go to sleep in the beds, which is vital to making the golems spawn. The fix for this was actually very easy. I just had to flip the trapdoors to make a wall so that the villagers couldn't see the zombie and could have a night's sleep. But this took me so long to figuring out that just editing the footage made me so angry. That's probably why you aren't seeing that much of it. This whole process between making the 2 farms took me around 6 hours. This was because of multiple obstacles. 1, I don't have a second monitor, so when I'm watching a tutorial, I would be pausing the game to go watch the video, constantly going back and forth between them. 2, since I didn't have a good grasp on how farms actually worked, I kept making a bunch of random little mistakes that would render them broken. And 3, I was just doing things in the most inefficient way possible. I never should have been moving the villagers with boats. I should have set up a railway a long time ago, and I didn't. I also kept making tiny mistakes like breaking blocks I didn't mean to, putting villagers where they shouldn't be, sleeping when I shouldn't, etc. I want to be very clear as well that the tutorials I followed were very simple and that everything that went wrong in these farms was entirely my fault. If you follow a tutorial online and your farm doesn't work, 9 times out of 10 it's because you missed a vital detail or didn't really understand how the farm worked. Make sure you triple check anything before you blame the tutorial. I think what frustrated me most was the loss of time. By the time I got the farms working properly, it was day 180. I lost a lot of time trying to get these stupid things up and running. It was at this point that I realized I needed to spend the rest of the days remaining just gathering materials and getting things ready for the 300-day video. I set up a beacon on this little remote island with a village and decided I'd dig a big hole down to bedrock. This was partially to gather materials and also so I could feel like I did something cool with the beacon, but I'd need to get another one if I really want to have the super awesome haste power. While I was farming more iron, I realized that the machine was still broken. This is actually where I realized the zombies were messed up and fixed it. Yeah, this footage was infuriating to go back and watch, by the way. The first 100 days was fun to break down and edit, but this time it just pissed me off. By the time I got it to actually work, it was day 187. I was a broken shell of a person. I just AFK'd for iron for the beacon setup and tried to make it to day 200. When I had enough iron, I finished setting up the beacon and started digging. I actually found a mine shaft right under where I was digging, and I ended up exploring it on day 192. It had okay stuff, and I saved some of the spire spawners just in case I wanted them later, but the biggest find was the geode. I harvested most of it just in case I decided to use it in my future base, and then headed back to the surface. Since I had less than 10 days remaining, I spent a few days farming gunpowder, and then went over to my iron farm to farm some iron for the last few days. And this iron farm, it couldn't let me end my 200-day video without causing me just a little more pain. Yeah, I have no idea how this happened. Let me tell you, the panic I felt was unlike anything I'd felt so far while playing this game. Mostly because I didn't know if the "you're dead" screen counted the same way as hitting escape did. I didn't know if my stuff would despawn or not, and while it would have sucked to lose my things, what I was really fearful of was losing my elytra. I know I had a spare set, but elytra are very dear to me because they're such a pain to get, and the idea of losing a pair, my first pair, yeah, I was not okay. I was sick while trying to rush back to see if my stuff was still there. Thankfully, it was. I'd worried for nothing, but I felt so sick to my stomach from that, I was ready to be done. I was fed up with this game, with this iron farm, with this video. I was just over it. The game broke me. On day 199, I was just waiting around for day 200. I checked on Thumbnail, who'd been trapped in this little moss nook I created to make the 100-day video thumbnail, debating killing it before deciding it could live in another video. Then slept to day 200. It was finally over. Hey guys, so we're here in real time. I thought it would be fun since we finally made it to day 200. Oh my goodness, that's huge, at least for me. I thought it'd be fun if we kind of went around the world and looked at everything that's kind of been built so far. Just see like all we've done so that, you know, we can look at how far we've come. It's gonna basically be a lot of farms and stuff, but I still think it's worth noting, especially since we're trying to take our time. So let's go ahead and look around a bit. Okay, so first thing we have is the thumbnail lie I used for the first, wow, immediately damaged. Oh, broke my helmet. Well, immediately we, god dang it. Okay, immediately we have this. This was the little lie I made to make it look like I had a super aesthetic base in the 100 days. Thumbnail is here still, alive and well, for now. You're on thin ice, buddy. But yeah, that's this area. Then we had, I have some bamboo growing because I thought I needed it for a project, but I ended up not, but you never know, right? We have my house, which is, anyways, we have a chicken farm, we have the nether portal, we've got the wool farm, which works shockingly well for just one sheep. That's amazing to me. We still have our villagers. They really need to be set up in something more proper than this, but oh, I forgot to put in viewing window. I got them all kind of just in boats sitting around, so we'll definitely be doing stuff with them in the 300-day video. We got our enchanting table. We've got our sugarcane farm, which again works surprisingly well. We've got a moss farm set up, which it looks really complicated, at least to me, but it works so well. I'm genuinely shocked. Next, we've got our trusty gunpowder farm. This thing also, I'm kind of amazed at how well certain Minecraft farms work, because again, I haven't really built a lot of these in a long time, and they're so different now with how much the game has changed. But it's really cool to kind of just see them built up. We have our villager breeder here, which is working splendidly. I wish there was kind of a way to, like, turn it off, because, like, I don't need all these guys. Although, I guess I will for the 300-day video, because we're going to be working on the enchantment stuff, and I'll definitely need books. But, yeah, so it's cool we got those guys. I have this, like, partially made railway just to get the villagers over to the iron farm, which was the biggest pain of them all so far. This thing, I have bittersweet feelings about it, but it's built and that's what matters. It does its job, at least partially well. Over here on this little villager island, we have our beacon set up. This is where we're making kind of like the hole to bedrock. We got a mine shaft down there, and it's basically going to be where we can gather resources, just different kinds of blocks that I don't normally think about collecting. I'm just going to keep everything that I get from this area, and I just find it funny that it's over a village. Just, I don't know. I like the idea of these guys really suffering. First I burned down one of their houses, and then I made this giant pit of doom. I just find that kind of funny. Okay, but guys, we also have what is going to be our future base. This is I'm not entirely sure how much I talked about it in my voiceover, but the plan is kind of to do like a cottage core fairy core type of thing. I imagine like a really cute bridge here. I imagine a lot of like fireflies and whimsical lights. I imagine like mountains built up all around, kind of encasing it to make it its own little like sanctuary, so to speak. I still haven't really worked out the block pattern, which is the main reason I've held off working on this. I thought I wanted to do moss and pale oak. Where is it? Yeah, I gathered a bunch of pale oak, but I'm worried that the white is too strong in a spruce biome. Like it's gonna kind of clash and look funny. So I'm trying to decide, I could do it with wood, but when I did some tests in like creative world, I wasn't really thrilled with how it looks. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly how I want things to look. It's very intimidating when you're not a builder. I also need to get rid of like the netherrack kind of encasing because I needed to figure out exactly where it was going to be. But that's all problems for next time. Building up the mountain, like the natural terrain or whatever, and making it look decent is definitely gonna be really annoying and probably not the main, like I think I'll build the stuff on the inside before I like encase around it, just to make sure that I have enough space for everything that I want and stuff. I kind of like, I envision like a villager trading hall in here. I envision like farms in here. Like there's a lot of stuff I want to get in here, and I haven't even really mapped out where everything's gonna be. But I think that my house is gonna be either on this platform, somewhere over there, or like up there. Again, I haven't fully decided yet. I'm totally welcome to like ideas if you guys have any, or if you just want to kind of see what I do with it and see where this goes, that's fine too. Um, I really did get some appreciation for the like 100-day, 200-day thing that people do. And it's fun. It's really cool to see like how your world builds up as the hundreds of days go by. So I'm really excited to see like what I can do in the 300-day video, like all that I'll make, because there's still definitely plenty of farms to be made. There's, gear to get. I'm still in freaking diamond. My helmet just broke. I'm out of diamonds. So we got a lot of ground to cover still. I really need to get like a fuller beacon, but that's gonna require fighting the wither again, which I'm not exactly excited to do. But I really want that haste too, and I think you need 2 beacons for that. I could be wrong. I'm not good with the beacons. I never have been. Feel free to correct me in the future. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the Minecraft 200-day video. I am really excited about where this will go and what I can do with it, and I'm really excited to like take you guys along with the journey. I was so surprised to see like 50 people watched the first video. That was really exciting to me. I wasn't even sure if I was posting it on that channel, if I wanted a separate channel, but I think I've decided that my style is to just have variety on one channel. So I'm glad. Hopefully this video comes out a little more natural. I could tell I was really nervous in the first 100 days just because I'd never done like voiceover kind of like storytelling almost, like, and I could tell I was very awkward about it. Hopefully this one comes out a little bit better than that, but I guess we'll see. And if not, you know what? There's always day 300. So that's gonna do it for this one, guys. I'll see you in the next 100 days for the 300-day video. Bye-bye.